All y'all that are out in the sanctuary, please come in for parables. Let's get parables started. Oh, did you guys? Yeah. He owns Sparky's. Okay. Good morning. For those of you who are online, we're excited that you are with us, and this information that I have, we will email you if you comment that you want a piece of this. So this is the first Sunday in February. And going forward, here at Morningstar, every first Sunday, Amy will be hosting this thing called First Sundays. Wow, what a unique name. And on First Sundays, so right now in room 102, she is, well, I think last I heard there was 16 people who had made reservations. I don't know if all 16 showed up, but they are meeting in room 102, and she is going through this literature that I am giving you. And the reason why it's important for you all who have been a part of Morningstar to go through this is so that what do you do when a guest comes and asks you, how do I do church here at Morningstar? So the very first thing that you do, church, here at Morning Star is what? Well, you show up, but you're sitting down in the sanctuary. What's the first thing that you should do here at Morning Star if you're a guest? The Connect card. Oh my gosh, Elaine and Carol and Dale, you all get a gold star. That's exactly right. The first thing that you want to tell a guest is fill out the Connect card, because that's how you get connected. The big thing about the Connect card for you all is it's a way for you to get connected, be connected, and stay connected. Think about the Connect card in those kind of terms. I'm getting connected with my church, I'm being connected with my church, and I'm staying connected with my church. And so that's the very first step, is for them to get connected and to be connected with us, and so that we can follow up and follow through. Wes, I apologize if it's not working. I'll make sure it's working next week. I'll figure what it's out. It's on, but I don't know what's going on. So now you're connected through the Connect card. What do? So when somebody shows an interest in wanting to be a part of Morning Star, wanting to go a little further, and more importantly, to go deeper in community with Morning Star and with our Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer, is this first Sundays. So right now, for those people who don't understand what it means to be a United Methodist community, Amy's going through Grace. So Prevenient Grace. Does anybody? You want? So Prevenient Grace is the grace God gave you before there was even you. So Steve Davila, you were enveloped in grace before you even knew it and realized it. That's what Prevenient Grace is. And Justifying Grace is just exactly that. It's the reconciling grace that God gives us, but it's also the grace that God expects us to give to others. So when I say go and be the church, that's what I mean by that. You're practicing justifying grace. And the sanctifying grace, this is the part of like the reason why church is important. You come to church to be stretched, pushed, and pulled, to be, I guess, kind of to a certain extent, kind of cleansed again. It's kind of like, church is kind of like soap. It's kind of like, this is Sunday laundry. You come here to not only stretch, push, and pull your soul, your mind, your heart, but then you also kind of clean it a little bit so that you can go out there and be the church. So, how many of you all are former Catholics, Pat Keever? So, in being former Catholics, in the Catholic Church, if I'm correct, there are 7 sacraments. And one of those 7 sacraments is like marriage. Marriage is a sacrament. But in the United Methodist Church, we only have 2 sacraments, and that's baptism and communion. And so some of you all have a question as to why, like every Sunday, why do we practice communion when for so long we only used to practice communion once a month on the first Sunday of the month? The reason why is because the youth, and what I mean by the youth of the United Methodist Church is pretty much every pastor under the age of 50 is the youth movement in the United Methodist Church has come to realize that 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we used to serve communion every Sunday, and then we changed to once a month, and now they're wanting to change it back because it's one of our sacraments. If it's one of our sacraments, if that means it's so important to us that we do this thing, that we hold this thing holy to remember the Last Supper, how often should we do it? Well, Jesus said, as often as you do this, meaning as often as you break the loaf of bread, do this in remembrance of me. And so I'm one of those people. Of course, I'm not ordained. I'm not an elder, but I'm one of those people that would go so far as to say is when you break a donut, yeah. So then the other thing is baptism. That's where we another way of looking at baptism, if you've been baptized as an adult, or if you've yet to be baptized, is that it goes back to remembering that prevenient grace. You received grace. You're remembering that you're receiving this grace, and so there's that. The other thing about baptism is that the United Methodist Church recognizes all baptisms. I'm gonna stick to that. There might be a question on one, but I don't want to befuddle the moment, bewildered. There is one, but I'm not gonna mess with it. But basically, if you were baptized as a child in the Baptist church, we're going to recognize that. If you were baptized as a child in the Catholic church, we're going to recognize that. No need to do it again. Baptism in the United Methodist Church is only done once. You can come to remember your baptism. Some of you all last week, when we did Brianna's baptism here, and she did it by immersion, some of you all came in, reached in, took the water, made the sign of the cross on your forehead to remember your baptism. You can remember your baptism, but there's no re-baptism. As much as you all think that I need to be re-baptized, it's done. You have yet to hear the sermon in the next service, so hang on to that comment just a little bit. Membership vows. So when you become a member within a United Methodist community, you promise to pray for that community, to be present in that community, to give of your gifts, your service, and your witness. Witness. I'm going to start with the hardest one first and work to the easiest. Usually I'd like to work easiest to hardest, but I'm going to start with the hardest. Witness. What does it mean to witness? We are not asking you to stand on the street corner with a Bible. We're not asking you to be that guy on Main Street on Saturdays with the bullhorn and the Bible. And I mean, what a faith. What a way to go and be the church, really. I had occasion to be at that Albertsons, and I thought I would sit there with the windows down and just listen to what it is that he was saying, because nobody really listens to him. They drive by. But he, in one sense, as crazy it may be to say that wow, what a way to show people that you love Christ, that you love God, and that you want to help people be sustained by that love. On the other hand, like when just people are passing you by, we're not asking you to do that. But how we want you to witness is maybe the stretch, push, and pull that you receive today in the sermon, you go out and you share that with the community. With nothing, there doesn't need to be any big ceremony about it. You don't need to go out, Joyce, and say, I heard my preacher say this, and I'm sharing it with you. It's just you go and do it. And your service and sharing that witness is seen by people, and they're like, hey, I want to be more like Joyce. And so then they start to emulate what it is that you're doing. So one of the things that I like to emulate is putting the shopping carts back in the shopping corral, because I think that that's what Jesus would do. Plus, just to let you know, I've been that guy who's had to go to the far reaches of the parking lot to get the shopping cart and bring it back. So prayers, we pray. We not only pray for our preacher, our pastor, we pray for everything that's going on within the church. We pray for those within the church, something that most definitely Janet McQueen does very well. And the other part that Janet McQueen does is encourage other people to pray, because she shares the information. Steve Davila had a bad Sunday. He would like you to pray for him, so we pray for him. Dear God, whatever it is that Steve Davila is going through, be with that. That's it. It's really simple. It's really easy. Presence. Presence does not mean that you have to have perfect attendance here at Morningstar Christie. That's not what we're asking you to do. If you're being by presence, we expect you to be present within the spirit of the Creator, the Redeemer, and the Sustainer. Does that make sense? And so gifts, of course, is not only, so gifts can be described as time, talent, and treasure. Remember, what's the most valuable of those three? Time. Time. Something that we would like to have more of, and it's the one thing that some of us have a hard time sharing. But that's what, more than anything, it's yes, your money does make a difference, but sometimes being present in time, of the sharing of your time, is more important. So think about that. And then service, we commit not only to, hang on just a minute, let me just finish this, and then service, yes, you could come and serve with the pantry. You can come and serve Wednesday nights with youth. You can come and hang the greens. You can come and do things big and small. You can come and, what a difference. What a difference yesterday made in sharing our time by being here to support Leslie and her family, but then also like Pat Keever got a group of people to come and share of their gifts of food, and we all sat down and visited with each other and remembered Jenny in that way, because that's the way that Jenny would want to be remembered. And so that's service. So service in ways big and small. Steve Georgie, you had a question.
Physical presence is important to Sue and I in church. And because we're always here. But that's part of the gift thing as well for us. Because I don't know on Sunday whether Carlos might just need me to say, hi, how are you doing? I love you. So our presence is a way to give that gift to our church family, even though it doesn't have anything to do with the sermon or whatever, or social, or it's just our presence saying, you're part of my family, I love you.
I would venture to say that what you just described is the most important part of presence. Yes, you come to be stretched, pushed, and pulled by the word that Amy preaches. The same stretch, push, and pull by the songs that are sung, whether they are contemporary songs or whether they're hymns. You're stretched, pushed, and pulled. If you're paying attention to the lyrics, you're stretched and pushed and pulled into that. You are stretched, pushed, and pulled by the sacrament. But I would challenge you all to say that you are stretched, pushed, and pulled, more importantly, by each other than by anything else that happens up here. Because of that point, that Carlos may need you more than he needs this. And where does he find you? Here. So there's that. So any questions about what I just went through on this page? This is what they are going through in the back there. Miss Elaine. Okay, well, no, it's fine. Just to let you know, Elaine, Stump the Pastor happens at 9:15. No. Confirmation. So I went to a big downtown United Methodist Church. Confirmation happened for sixth graders every spring, much like catechism used to happen every spring for sixth graders. I would get invited my whole entire sixth grade year by all my friends. I lived about 4 or 5 blocks away from a nunnery. As I passed by the nunnery on the way to school, they would come out and tell me catechism will be on this day. So it seems to be at some point in time, confirmation used to happen in all denominations in the sixth grade. It used to be kind of a common thing. Now I think confirmation is catch as catch can. When you get a group big enough to be able to have confirmation, to be able to have catechism, that's when you have catechism, when you have confirmation. So Sherry Brown, it's been a couple years, hasn't it? I'd say I think it's 2 years this spring. We had a confirmation class of about, I want to say maybe 10, 15, 10, 12 kids, a dozen kids. Not all of them were confirmed within the community of Morningstar, but they went through confirmation, and those, I want to say about 4 chose not, because when you become confirmed in the United Methodist Church, you have a choice at that point in time to become a member of the church. And so everything that we went on side 1 of this page right here, you would commit to doing those things. Well, you do. Well, you're doing all of the things. You're learning about grace because you asked a lot of questions about grace. I've been in Bible study with you, and I don't owe her $1. I owe her like $100 because she stumps me all the time. And then you came to understand what these 5 vows of being a Methodist are. Wait. I'm going to flip it on you. You're a member here, just not formally. All these people here consider you family. All these people here, I would bet, would come and help you if you asked for it. And so formal membership at confirmation it's important because you're making a commitment to be sustained by this group of people, and in that sustention, so in that sustenance that you're being sustained by this community, part of that sustenance is accountability. And in that accountability is not necessarily, Elaine, are you doing this right or wrong? Accountability is, Elaine, you weren't at church the last couple Sundays. Is everything okay? That's accountability. But it's not like holding it up. And what I'm talking about here is, I don't think anything different than what you experienced in the Catholic Church or what Father John here preached in the Episcopal Church. It's the same kind of thing. It's just when you make a commitment to do something, there's usually a formal commitment of doing the thing. But in a way, the fact that you're doing the thing, you've made a formal commitment in doing the thing. I've heard you say it. I'm going to do the thing at Morningstar. And that's fine. And so this community follows up with you and makes sure that you're doing the thing. Oh my gosh. I'm going to ask Steve Georgie first because yours is going to be easy. She's going to ask me something in the theological, eschatological realm, and scatological. Yeah. Steve Georgie, question before we go on to the back of this page.
The membership part.
Yes, sir.
I think there's a piece of that is bookkeeping and record keeping.
Because we're Methodist, yes. So in that sustenance, it is in our history that John Wesley saw the importance of keeping records. And in the importance of keeping records in the 1800s, right? When did Wesley die? 1700s to 1800s. But then, yeah, so I would probably say maybe like up to about 1825. It was important for you to practice your vows of membership, because without practicing your vows of membership, you could not get communion, which happened. No, because you had a card. You had to keep a card, and you had to have the four corners punched. And so I have gifted past pastors those cards. And if you ever see our friend in Albuquerque, ask him for the book that Stuart gave you, and about those cards. Carol Tuck, and then we'll go on to the back. Yeah, so yes, usually now, because time is so expensive and we're waiting, it's not to say that we're keeping record of those who are interested, and we're keeping that pot warm, to say, so that when it does happen, it happens. And right. So we're going to go on to the back. Okay, so the front really pertains about the information of how to be in community at Morning Star, in a United Methodist community that we call Morning Star, or any United Methodist community. The front is really about that, about your local church. The back is, how does your local church function within this thing that we call the United Methodist Church? I'm going to mess this up, and Carol, Kathy, or anybody else who has really been involved in the United Methodist Church for a long time and understands this, please correct my ways, the error of my ways, if I go astray. And I only have just a little bit, because it's 10:59. But this kind of explains, like, so at the very top of the church, we have the Judicial Council and the Council of Bishops. All the bishops are a part of that. We have a jurisdiction. We are in the South Central jurisdiction, which includes Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana. There is talk at this jurisdictional conference, which will happen this summer, I think in July, of realigning jurisdictional conferences. Africa does not operate the way that North America and the United States operates. They have what they call missional conferences, meaning Africa, the whole entire continent is a conference. So there's that. We have an annual conference, which happens to be the New Mexico Annual Conference, which includes the state of New Mexico and parts of West Texas. So basically to Odessa and west, okay, is basically what the New Mexico Annual Conference is. Just a quick side note, we do not have enough ordained elders, meaning enough ordained pastors, to be a conference. So yeah, so I'm just going to kind of move on from there. Annual conference. Below annual conference, then you have districts. So we have, because we're a small conference, we only have 2 districts. We used to have 3, but as of last fall, we only have 2. So basically the Albuquerque district, which includes everything north of Socorro, and the El Paso district, which includes everything south of Socorro, including that portion of West Texas. So basically, just to let you know, there's like 50 churches north of Socorro and 50 churches south of Socorro, and that's where we're at. And then you have the local church. So then in the local church, going back up again, Amy has a boss called a district superintendent. The district superintendent has a boss called the bishop. And then the bishop has a boss called the council of bishops. And then the council of bishops, there's a president of that council. Okay. Can you do me a favor and go check what he taped on the door, please? At your local church, you have a pastor, staff, and a church council. You have trust, and so your church council is your leadership board, and on your leadership board, they handle things like trustees, finance. Trustees is basically the facility, you know, parking lot, the roses, the bathrooms, the plumbing, the electricity, the painting, all that kind of stuff. Finance, of course, personnel, meaning human resources, and then other teams that you have as you see fit within your organization. I don't know how many moons ago it was, but it was decided at a general conference to allow, in the book of worship, we have a book of rules called the Book of Worship. It's about the size of the hymnal and print smaller than the Bible. That includes all kinds of things that are either mandated or required or not required or whatever within United Methodist Church. And in that is where it was decided that churches less than 100 could have just one board, because it's difficult for those churches to have 3 meetings, 3 different councils meeting, 4 different councils meeting every week. So you just meet once a month. Big churches took that and they ran with it, and it makes a church run more efficiently. So your leadership board could be a size of 6, or it could be as big as like 25 people, like Church of the Resurrection, which is a church of like 75,000 people in Kansas City. So that was a quick rundown of how your church, the global church, kind of runs here in North America. But we went through the meat of it. The biggest part of it is the front of this, is the biggest piece of it. That group. So when a guest comes to Morningstar, what's the first thing that you're going to tell them to do? Fill out a Connect card. And the second thing that you're going to tell them to do when they show interest in going deeper and further in community here at Morningstar is First Sundays. Exactly. We wanted you all to go through First Sundays so that you could explain how First Sundays worked. And then going forward, we will do something fun on First Sundays because I'm in charge. Somebody just suggested to me that maybe like a question and answer kind of thing. And in that question and answer, though I'm not the pastor, maybe I can answer some of the most basic questions and make sure that the pastor gets the more important questions and whatnot. So this concludes Parables. Thank you for all of you who are online. I appreciate it. We did this in 30 minutes because we started about 5 minutes late, and I really appreciate it. And so share this information with your friends and family here at Morningstar. And questions, concerns, social comments, amy@mstarlc.church. You're welcome. Thanks.